Okay, so welcome to Satsang. So I suggest that we again sit together quietly. I think this is here.
Also, Harald, kannst du mal kurz dich unmuten und mal kurz was sagen und nur zum Testen, ob JDs Kopfhörer gehen?
I can hear you, but not here.
Okay.
So, hello.
Okay, now
Can you hear me? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Okay. Okay, so let's just sit silently together for a few minutes. Okay, so let's open our eyes, come back into the room. So I have a note here that suggests I should talk about surrender to the flow of life. Surrender to the flow of life. So this is a very nice statement, surrender to the flow of life. And of course, if we could really do that, then that would be all we have to do, because whatever is happening is present. So we would be always present because we're always saying yes to each moment. And this morning we heard that Gloria and Cornelia and Arjuna, they were sharing somehow the benefit, or one aspect of the benefit that they have got from the virus, because due to the virus, they've been not able to travel around. They haven't been able to chit chat too much with friends. They haven't met their family maybe, and they've been much more by themselves. And each one was describing somehow the benefits that came from that. Life becomes more simple human life. So surrender to the flow of life is actually a very advanced statement. I remember one time I was in an ashram in Kerala, north of Kerala. There's quite a well-known ashram. It's called Ananda Ashram. And the first guru was called Ramdas. And then there was another guru, a woman, and then I became very close with the third guru, which was called Satchidanand. You can find him in my Indian Blueprints project. Very lovely man. And he's passed on, and now there, in fact, is another guru there called Muktananda. So anyway, this is an ashram which is very much a bhakti ashram. Ananda means, of course, bliss. Anyway, we used to go there regularly. In January, we would go on a bus trip, and that was one of our destinations. And I remember one afternoon we were sitting in Satchidanand's office, and I had given him a donation for our stay. And he'd taken this envelope and he indicated to his assistant to put it in a drawer. So next to where he was sitting, there was some cupboard and had some drawers, and he indicated, please put it in the drawer. And then a bit later, while we were still talking together, another assistant came into the room and came to Satchidanand and gave him, I don't really remember, the electricity bill or the telephone bill for the ashram. And so he paused from talking to us and put his attention on this paper he had in front of him. And he looked it through, made some kind of check perhaps, and then he indicated to his assistant the drawer where another assistant had put my donation. So then he took out this same envelope that I'd given not so long before, and obviously was taking this money to pay whatever this bill was. So this is a very nice example that you accept the flow of life, because the flow was, we were there talking with him, He was giving us quite a lot of time in his office, and then he had to carry on running the ashram. So, you know, the money came in, the money went out, and probably that's basically as complicated as the air accounting gets. They probably don't do what we're doing in the West here. And so it's very simple. The money comes in and the money goes out. And somehow existence itself takes care that there's usually enough money coming in to cover what has to go out. You know? And maybe when it isn't, they call maybe one of their benefactors and ask if it's possible to get an extra donation. And most Indian big companies, they're very happy to support an ashram like that. And also, of course, wealthy people in India, they also like to support the activities of that kind of ashram. And of course, the ashram is well known for having a hospital. Across the road, they have some kind of medical center where they take care of people. And yeah, they work with young people in schools. They do all kinds of social work, you could say. And so, yeah, richer people or big companies are very happy to give support. So anyway, so surrender to the flow of life. So this is a very clear statement, but as we all know, this is not so easy. So when existence is only bringing chocolate and ice cream, then it's pretty easy to say yes. But as soon as we get some kind of situation which we don't really accept as being comfortable, we don't really like it, then of course we don't really want to say yes to it. And I think, you know, this is a very, very important point, because you could say, how does human life work? How does it work? And what are we all doing here? Is there any point in all this? And it seems to me that, you know, you can't really answer those questions. What are you supposed to be doing? Is there a point to your life? Do you have to achieve something? What do you have to achieve? What is right and what is wrong? What will be good and what is bad? So in the Christian tradition, there's a lot of good and bad, yeah. But if you really look at how life is going, then this invitation to surrender to the flow is actually a very, very powerful statement. Because what it means is that whatever is happening in any one moment, you just say yes. You can say yes to things that you really, really like. And you can also say yes to things you don't quite so much like. And if you understand that the things that are coming into your life, what you could define as good things and not so good things, that each one of them is coming into your life for some reason. It's coming into your life because somehow in your life you need that particular situation in order to understand something. So, for example, as we were talking this morning a bit about the coronavirus, that in a way it could be argued that the modern society has taken human beings into realms which are not really healthy for them. You know, cities like Peking, like Delhi, very, very polluted. I mean, 100 years ago in the Industrial Revolution in England, London was famous for fog and smog. Smog was a kind of mixture of smoke and natural fog. So that was very, very unhealthy. And now, of course, in London, you don't get any more of those kind of toxic air. But there are still other cities in the world where you do get that. And this, of course, has a very adverse effect on the health of thousands, probably millions of people. And this is only one aspect, because there are many other aspects of some kind of toxic pollution that human beings are exposed to. And it could be said that the present crisis of global warming, which is creating, for example, in Australia recently, created tremendously terrible forest fires. They always have forest fires in Australia, but this year it was another level of fires. So this is one kind of symptom. And then in the Caribbean, in the last few years, there's been many enormous hurricane storms doing tremendous damage and becoming more and more frequent, actually. And so on and so on and so on. I mean, we go every year, we go to South India, to Arunachala Mountain, where Ramana Maharshi has his ashram. And we've been doing that now for 20 years. And now when we go there in January, we always go in January, the mountain is green. It's green. But until probably, I'm not sure exactly, about 10 years ago it changed, I think. About 10 years, 12 years ago, until then, it was always brown in January because there hadn't been any rain. But the global warming has changed the climate in that area. So now at the end of the year, in November, December, I think, they get quite a lot of rain, which they didn't used to get. And so when we show up in January, the mountain's completely green. And this is completely different from how it was a few years ago. I mean, this is now very nice for the local farmers because there's plenty of water. And so their crops get richer and they get more money. And so actually the local community is, of course, happy with global warming. But equally, of course, there are other places where things have changed drastically and not so happy. There's a lot of islands, for example, where because the sea level has gone up, because a lot of ice has melted in different parts of the world, the sea level has gone up in the last few years, and this is now making some island nations very, very nervous, because if it goes up much more, they won't be an island anymore. They'll be under the water. So there's all these kind of things happening, yeah, and it could be argued that the coronavirus is a kind of symptom of all of that. If you take the bigger picture, it can be that this is happening out of all the things that I've just been talking about, actually. It's very hard to know what is causing what. So I'm not saying that we want to welcome a virus that's killing many, many people. I'm not suggesting that, of course, but there may be a reason. And sometimes when we get something in our own personal life, which is not really to our choice, if you really look into it, you maybe can see that although you don't really like to have this thing, it can be an appropriate thing to show up in your life. So surrendering to the flow of life is actually a very, very beautiful way to live. And I would suggest that for all of us, this is one outcome of our spiritual journey, that we come into a flow where basically everything that happens is simply accepted. And of course, that's not easy. There needs to be a deep trust and also a deep merging, a kind of merging into the flow of life. And this flow is not my doing. It's not something that I'm doing. I think most of you now can see the difference between I'm doing my life and my life is flowing like this. And you can feel the different quality when some sort of decision or some kind of important happening is decided by you in some ways, made to happen by you, or it's something that happens in a flow, and you go, oh, wow, okay. So going back to this diary from Jean Dunn, if I can find it. So there's an interesting example here. So so she'd gone from Bombay, from Maharaj, she'd gone back to Ramana Ashram. And then that was on October the 21st, Friday, October the 21st. She says, since P's arrival on the 10th, this ego mind has slowly taken over until I feel as though I've lost all that was gained. So she'd come back from Bombay, and I imagine some friend of hers had also arrived. And of course, they perhaps hadn't seen each other for a longer time. So they started spending time together. And gradually, as they spent time together, maybe things got a bit complicated, who knows? And she realized that actually she's very much back in her ego. It is because of falling back into remembered patterns and not being constantly aware. So she's admitting this was after she spent, I think, about 2 years with Maharaj, and she'd already been in Ramana Ashram for some time. And clearly she had already been a spiritual seeker for a longer time. So she's quite an experienced person. And she's very honestly admitting in her diary that she fell back because she wasn't being constantly aware. We'll use today and tomorrow's silence to meditate, and will only watch and not associate myself with events. So she's probably pulling back from meeting her friend, and she's decided to spend more time in silence. Must remember to hold on to the I am awareness. Friday evening, wonderful meditation. I'm at peace. So she made this decision, and already by the same evening, it seems that something had changed, and she came back into peace again. And then on November the 14th, so that would have been about 3 weeks later, well, because of unawareness and not being alert, the ego really has gone all out. We'll have to be more watchful and get back to where I was before P's arrival. It's not her fault, but only the ego's reaction to her that has cropped up. So this is a very honest diary. So we can see that she'd gone back and got caught up with a friend. And by getting caught up with this friend, she lost the space that she'd achieved when she was with Maharaj. So in her diary, if we go on in her diary, she's if you like, constantly watching and writing in her diary in a very honest way, the kind of flow that's happening in her life. Yeah. Sometimes she's really there, and other times things get forgotten, and she sees at some point that she's got lost or she's stopped remembering. And this is what we all go through. I would say this is everybody the same. Even when you get very, very clear, there's still going to be things that come up in your life, unexpected things, maybe things that are not so easy, which have the tendency to bring us out of where we would like to be. And in my own case, I can say that I noticed some years ago that as my ability to be present got, how can I say, got more sophisticated or got more solid, the kind of little typhoons, little gales, tough moments, that what was brought to me to deal with also got stronger. And I noticed that somehow these two things, they happened in a way that I could always somehow deal with it. Maybe for some time, it knocked me off a bit, but I could always somehow manage. And things that I had to deal with were not going to be too strong that I couldn't manage. And it's been like that now for quite a few years. And being involved in a community like the one we have, Open Sky House community, with a whole bunch of people. And, you know, we have quite complicated stuff going on here. Like this weekend, we're doing this retreat, and some of the residents are involved in this retreat. And we also had, I think it was on Friday, we had one small seminar group in the house just for one day. And now from yesterday, we've got another one, which is going to be in the house, a bigger one, until Monday night. And then we have an art gallery, and this art gallery is open now for the weekend for people to come in and look at the artwork and so on. So we have a whole many different, completely different stuff going on, all kind of connected in together. And it's been like that for many years. And everybody is kind of multitasking, and somehow, you know, we have a morning meeting where we decide, well, I'm not going to that meeting, but it is decided how the day is going to be managed. And in some completely unknowable way, it always seems to work out. Always seems to work out. It's been like that now for many years. And some of the people who've been in the community longer, who when they first came, maybe suffered from some kind of stress, they're all very relaxed now. They always know that even though it looks impossible, it will work out. And maybe this is one of the things that happens over time that allows us to surrender to the flow of life. Yeah. So maybe before I go on, maybe we can see if anybody would like to dialogue about that I've been talking up to now. Maybe somebody would like to share from their own life.
Mahan Vishnu.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Hello. I just wanted to share something about the online retreat, because one day before we started, I was a little bit grumpy that I couldn't come to the Open Sky House, and I
Just
thought,
one second. Can you open up their video, because I'm not seeing them?
Why
are you?
Why you don't see?
I don't know. Can I?
What you're seeing?
I'm seeing myself. I'm a bit bored looking at myself.
Or
I would prefer to look at you, Maha. You're much,
I mean, they're on the screen.
they're not on my screen though.
Okay.
Can I come and click something, or I don't know?
Yes. Yeah.
Away.
Huh? He's coming.
Okay. Maybe I can do it myself. Wait a minute. Everything's in German on this computer, so I can't do it myself. Okay, Ohm's come to rescue me. Just 1 second, because okay, now I can see you. Yeah, much better, Maha. Go ahead. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I was a bit frustrated that we couldn't come to the Open Sky House for the retreat.
Right.
And I thought maybe I don't like to take to make it be online, and it will not help me so much. I won't like profit so much from it, because it's always very nice to be at the Open Sky House and the energy there. And I was a bit afraid that it wouldn't change anything inside of me.
Okay.
And yesterday in the morning satsang, I fell asleep.
You fell asleep? Thank you very much. I can imagine that you and the Vishnu are having very good time together. Okay, I won't blame myself for that.
No. Was heißt Widerstand?
Resistance.
Yeah, I talked about it afterwards with Vishnu, and we said maybe it was a kind of resistance.
Okay.
On my side. And then on the afternoon satsang, everything was different, and I was in flow, and I really liked it, and I could feel the energy, and it was almost like being in the Open Sky House. And it's still like this. And we have a wonderful time together, and we make our own little retreat here. So
Right.
it's quite perfect like this. And I thought about it when we had the silence time right now. And then you talked about the flow of life, surrender to the flow of life. And that's just what I experienced with the online retreat.
Right. Yeah, when you were able to open a bit and let your idea go. I mean, your idea, in one way, your idea is not wrong, of course, because I also would prefer that we could have all have met here in one room, and we could have sat eating together. And of course, this is almost certainly slightly better. But also, because of this virus, because we can't actually do that, because the powers that be have decided, otherwise, then suddenly Zoom shows up, I've been doing this other kind of online broadcast for 12 years. That involves a studio with 2 cameras and sound system, and people can come through into the meeting, but actually not many people do come into the meeting because that's a bit complicated. You have to come through on Skype, and so on and so on. So, but anyway, those meetings happened 12 years, they started 12 years ago. And in the years before that, for I don't know exactly, about 6 years, I think, when I first came to Europe. The community started fairly quickly. And then I was traveling, constantly traveling in Europe, all through Europe. And in the beginning, I was more or less alone, traveling on a train. And then later, I bought a car, and then maybe three or four people came with me in the car, and we drove from city to city. And being a hardworking guy, we used to do meetings every evening, and every weekend I would have some kind of retreat. So it was a pretty powerful time because a lot of people were somehow really interested in satsang. And I got kind of passed around Europe, you could say, from city to city. And but anyway, after I'd been doing that for, I don't remember, really 6 or 8 years, there came a moment when I was getting a bit tired. And also I saw there were some limitations on that, because maybe I would go to smaller cities for 2 nights twice a year. And so working with those people just, twice a year for a couple of nights, maybe 3 nights, it didn't feel so satisfying for me. So I was meeting lots of people, but in a rather superficial way. And so I'd sort of come to a decision that I was going to stop doing that. And Open Sky House was very juicy in those days. And I had the feeling, okay, I stay in the house. And if people are really interested, they will come and find me in the house. They can stay here as a guest, a volunteer. They can come and live with me even. So I'm very available, but people have to kind of take a step towards me. And this happened 12 years ago. And it was very interesting because what actually then happened was somebody wanted to interview me at that kind of moment. And he came to the house and interviewed me. And then after we'd done the interview, we were chit-chatting. And he said, have you discovered the online sites where you can, where they will host you, and you can do your meetings and you can broadcast through the internet? Do you know about that? And of course, I didn't know about that. So 12 years ago, that was the way those meetings started. And we did them in with different languages, different translations, and we made an archive. And some clever people made a search tool so that you can go through all the archives and find the meetings where a particular topic was talked about. We even made an application for the iPhone and the Google phones. So this was all pretty amazing, actually, and I've been happily doing that. And it's allowed people to come to the house also. So we've had live meetings, which we broadcast. And then when this Corona thing started, people couldn't come to the house. And at the same moment, I went into hospital. I took the chance to go into hospital. So an energetic moment happened in my life, for example, where some new flow has started. And this weekend is a particularly strong moment because it's a retreat with 20 people. I'd never done it before, through an online platform. And I'm glad what you said, because I'm also quite enjoying it and finding it quite intense. So at the moment, I have a decision to stop doing those other broadcasts, actually, and to start these new broadcasts. We have a plan to make an archive of the old meetings and also an archive of these new meetings, but I will probably do specialist meetings every month. So there will be quite a lot of meetings, but they will all be focused to different groups of people, different languages, and so on. So this is a new beginning, and actually I don't know how this is going to work out. So this would be a good example for me personally, that this will be the third flow to do with sharing, since I came to Europe 18 years ago. So in each time, it wasn't really that I decided. It wasn't really that I decided, but somehow it's happened in some kind of natural flow. And of course, I can say, no, I don't want to do that. But somehow I've more or less given up doing that. I don't usually say no to very much. I'd have to start thinking about the last time I was saying no to something strong. I can't quite remember now. Somebody else like to share about this? See, what we have to be careful is that we very often have created a kind of theater, kind of dramatic theater on how we're going to live our life and where we fit into this theater, how we're going to behave. We have some idea about all that. And when our life goes like that, when the natural flow of our life goes and fits our idea of this dramatic theater, then it's of course easy to say yes, and probably we feel quite content inside. But when that's not the case, when something happens in our life which doesn't fit our idea of how it should be working, then we can have some trouble actually. And the easy way of coming out of that trouble is to accept whatever is happening. If you accept in any moment what's really happening, even when you don't really like it, immediately everything is fine again. It's like magic. Would you like to respond to that, Bruno? Because recently some things have happened which probably aren't so easy for you to accept. Can you unplug him?
No. You can
Yes.
talk.
Yeah. So somehow I can notice it from moment to moment. When I am accepting what is happening, or if there is some pain or some mental movement which is overwhelming, and then I notice, yes, I'm not in the present, and the pain starts.
Right. So really, if you see that, you could also see the possibility that this pain is helping you. It's a help, because when you get this pain, you already are aware enough to know that, oh, I'm getting this pain because I'm not accepting what's happening.
Yes, it's a very strong teacher, a very teacher, and he doesn't accept anything,
Right,
which isn't perfect, and well, quite often I'm overwhelmed when I wake up in the morning.
Right.
And memories come, and things are not like I want to have it, and then the thoughts starts rolling, and
Bruno, could you just sorry to stop you, but could you just adjust your screen so we see you? Because when you come close, we only see your very nice stripy shirt,
Okay.
And it's more fun to see your face.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, so morning meditation usually helps me a lot.
Right.
To meditate in the morning and find some distance and be more in the observer. And I think pain itself, it's not the problem, but to make out of it Schmerz and Leiden, you know, if you
Pain and suffering.
Suffering, yeah. So
right.
if you go into suffering, then
right. Yeah, but even going into suffering, you know, the dear old Buddha. I'm not really an expert on the Buddha's teaching, but he actually used suffering, human suffering, as part of his teachings. Yeah.
Yes.
Because you know, when you suffer, it would suggest something's not really right.
Yeah.
And you know, you've done a lot of meditation, and you know that, you know, when everything feels very, very good, usually there aren't a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
And equally, you know that when there are a lot of thoughts, you suffer, actually. There's pain and suffering. And so, you know, if you find yourself suffering, you know, not just for a few minutes here and a few minutes there, but if there's a constant suffering going on, then that's actually suggesting that you know, there's too much mind. You know, you're too identified. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's so easy to know about it. I mean, I'm quite aware about it, but you know, just to be with it and accept it without going into the suffering. I mean, it's
for
also,
example, when I wake up in the morning, I'm rather happy that I usually need to get out of bed and pee, actually, because by the morning, being an old geezer, you know, by the morning it's there's a pressure, you know. So, for example, you know, if I would wake up and be having some kind of what you were suggesting, you know, some memories coming up, just by getting out of bed and having a pee, it brings me very present, you know. As a man, you know, I'm used to putting my hand on my penis to make sure that the pee doesn't spray everywhere and all this kind of thing. So this kind of brings me very present, you know, and it's very natural function, and it happens most mornings. And then I, you know, wash my hands. That's another bit of, you know, hot water on my hands makes me, you know. So then by all that, you know, I'm pretty much there in the bathroom. So
you know, what helped me quite a lot is going into nature in quite early in the morning.
Right.
By just, instead of being inside, just have
go out and pee under the tree, you know, and pee in the bushes.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know, I think exercise at that moment is quite a good idea for me as well. You know, to feel to come into your body, to feel yourself, to also to energize yourself. You know, these things are. I didn't need it in earlier times, but at the moment, this is how I function better. And before, usually, my way of getting up is 6 o'clock, and then I take a cold shower. So like springing into the river, and this is what I'm used to do for many years. I'm not. Somehow it's quite very natural, and in earlier times I quite often had migraine, and somehow it just got washed away in this way. And so this wakes me up, and usually I meditated then afterwards, you know, having a shawl and a little cozy time on the cushion, and but at the moment it's different. I feel facing the nature, or having some outer, you know, activities, and instead of only going inside. I mean, this I trained myself for many years. I went for many long courses in silence, or for even up to 1 month and things. And at that time I managed all these things, but at the moment it just doesn't work, you know. So
right. Well, I think some people know that you've had some relationship not working anymore. Kind of what are you doing? I'm being moved around here by my organizer. I'm being organized. What are you doing? Oh, I've got too much space above my head. Okay. Anyway, so I mean, you know, many of us know this situation when an emotional love connection, a relationship, when that breaks down for whatever reason, it's nearly always a time when it can be very strong. Yeah, for everybody knows this, and so that's the catalyst of your situation.
Yeah.
And then, you know, some of the things that happened to you maybe when you were younger have been touched.
Yeah.
Which again, everybody here, I'm sure, knows about that.
Yeah.
And then how to come out of all that, you know?
Right.
And, you know, in a way, what you were saying just now about going for a walk and feeling your body and so on is okay, but actually, if you're not careful, then you're getting very much back into me, you know, my body, into me, you know, my body, my mind, you know, you know, if I can just get back into my cold shower and my my old patterns again, then everything, you know, I can then surrender to the flow of life. But it's not quite the same as being present, actually, yeah, because you know, it's almost as if you feel that if you could recreate the kind of cozy ego that you had before, which started each day with a cold shower, then you know, you would be back on a firm foundation. Yeah. And I think that's not really going to work, actually.
I mean, I didn't know that this is the solution. You know, it just helped me, you know, to start myself and to be in a better mood, and also to be present somehow.
Right.
And of course, I know.
But maybe you don't have to be in a better mood. You know, who says you have to be in a better mood? I mean, you've been here at Open Sky House for some time, and often not in a particularly better mood, and we don't mind at all, you know.
Yeah.
So you have an idea about what a better mood would be, yeah? And that's probably a lot like, you know, how you felt when you got up in the morning, had a cold shower, and did this and did that, and whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm an artist and a painter, and you know, this is also part of mine that I'm expecting, you know, that I'm ready to do good artwork again, and to be in a to accept myself that it at the moment it isn't
But
Yes,
actually,
it has.
what you're saying now, I have to differ again with you, because while you've been in the house recently, you did some sketches, what you call sketches, and as you were leaving a week or so ago, you were very kind to give everybody one of your sketches. So I got one of
Yes.
your sketches actually,
Yes.
and I was able to choose from, I don't know,
Yes. Yeah.
and I chose one I really really like, and I put it in a frame. You know, I think I need to
Oh,
show it
really?
to you. Yeah, I think I need to
Yes.
show it to you
Yes.
because I know your work very well, and as you know, I like your work very much. And in my
Yeah.
apartment, I have several of your paintings.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I can reveal right now that one of your paintings has the how can I say, the main spot, you know, in my apartment. Because in my apartment, I've got so many paintings there, 3 high. I mean, I don't have to have wallpaper because I've covered my walls with paintings, you know. But anyway, where I have a spotlight and it's kind of like, you know, the main point or something, I have your
Mm-hmm.
painting. You have your one of
Mm-hmm.
your paintings. You know? So
Right.
when I saw your sketch the other day, you know, when a week or so ago I saw your sketch, I immediately could recognize that there was something a bit different than
Of course. Yes.
your regular style, you know, because I know your
Yeah.
style. It's, you know, it's okay, you know. But in this
Yeah.
sketch, there was something different. In fact, you know,
True.
normally most of your lines are
Yeah. Yeah.
horizontal, you know. And in
Yeah.
this sketch, there were all these vertical ones kind of breaking up, you know, the horizontal. And I
Yes.
thought, wow, that's really amazing. You know, maybe something new is happening. See?
Yes. Exactly. I'm in the process to. Yeah. It feels like there is a change right now, and it was quite an interesting time to be here and doing these sketches. And just the other 2 weeks now, the last 2 weeks, I have been home in the studio, and I started with a new series, a
Right.
new kind of convolute of work, and the horizontals are not the main thing anymore at the moment. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right, right. So there you are. What you're now admitting, or what I'm a little bit pushing you to admit, is that, you know, there's a breaking down of the old. You know, it's a bit like me giving up on traveling around Europe in my car, going to
Mm,
different cities, you know. And then I
right.
finally just felt I've got to stop, you know. And I didn't
Mm,
know what the next thing was, but the next
mm,
thing was online satsang twice a week, you
mm,
know.
right.
So it's not really the end of everything that things are, you know, not
Change.
as you want them to be. You know, there's a bit of
Mm,
suffering, there's a bit of
mm,
pain.
mm,
You
mm,
don't recognize, you know, Bruno as Bruno should be, but actually,
mm.
you know, maybe there's a change moment happens in your life, you know. And
Yeah.
the more you can embrace that, the more I think you'll find the suffering stops.
Mm, mm. Yeah, there's this mind playing around and having these plans and know how things should be, and this gives me the suffering.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean,
and
you have a very strong mind. We all know that. You're kind of well known for the guy with a strong mind because you've been around for a while, you know. And
mm,
you also know that you've got a strong mind. And
mm,
also you have been choosing in your life to go and do, you know, meditation retreats, yeah? Vipassana meditation retreats and I don't know, other kinds of retreats, yeah.
yeah,
So there's there inside of you, there's, you know, like everybody, there's a strong pull to a certain kind of mind structure, and there's also a clear decision from you to do something about it.
yeah, yeah. Actually, this happened to me in another crisis at the time when 1984, when I was studying at the art academy, and I went through a deep crisis, and I didn't know how to go on, and for some reason I only knew I had a very strong pull towards India. And then I went for this journey for 4 months, and it was a kind of miracle what happened. And I had few visits. I went to Nepal and to Kathmandu and to different areas. And at the beginning, I met these Buddhist monks, which were, there was a lot of theory about Buddhists and how to do and how things are. And then I went down to Trivale Mahim, a small place close to Madras on the ocean side, and
Right.
I found this sculpture shop, and this master said, "Oh, you're an artist. You should do a Ganesh here to and you know to sculpture." And the second task he gave me was, you should do a Buddha statue. And somehow I made this I sat in the sand for 1 month, and it happened to me that I made it at this time. And then I came in any ashram, and at that moment I met the American lady, and she said to me, well, there is a silent course of 10 days here and there. And I only noticed, oh, a silent course. I want to go there. And so this way it happened to me that Vipassana came into my life, and it was for a long time that I followed this path, and it gave me a big support in the stability of my artistic career. And
Right.
At the moment I just realized, okay, I need to have something else as well.
Right.
I have to change somehow. I have to adjust my path.
Right.
And for some reason, at the beginning of Corona, I was in this very, very strange personal situation. It was March 18, or at that time when Merkel announced that she wanted to close down everything. And it was Sunday, and at that moment I called here Open Sky House and asked for refuge. and and now
Right.
since that moment I only knew this house as a gallery space, where my paintings were shown. And
Right.
so for some reason then Corona brought me here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you're saying is, it's very nice that, actually, when perhaps yesterday you were a little bit resistant, and we only got you talking when you were completely in the dark in the evening. But now you're sharing a lot, and I mean, what you've just been saying, I think you have to really look at, because you see that right now probably there's a change moment in your life, yeah, and you describe how this change moment happened when you were being a student. You went to India and so on, yeah. But what I'm talking about this afternoon is that it's not that we do that, it just happens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if we can trust that, if you can really bring trust to this moment of your life when there's been pain and suffering, then whatever's going to happen is going to be right for you. And
right.
maybe your how can I say, your painting style is going to, it's all going to be verticals, no more horizontals. I mean, who knows what's going to change, yeah. But it's probably not going to be bad, and it could actually be, it could be wonderful, it could be a whole new level of your art, who knows, and
I mean, in some way deep in my heart or in my unconsciousness, I know this is the process. But in the moments when you are in this really, really deep suffering and so you are under the water, and somehow just the waves are so high and the storm is so great, that so huge, that you are,
and then you suddenly hear the birds. You suddenly hear the birds singing, and you suddenly hear the birds singing in the garden just above you, and then things are not so bad anymore. Look, listen to that bird.
Right.
And also, you know, you were describing how this Buddhist silent course came into your life, yeah? And you know, in this moment when, you know, there was quite a lot of pain and suffering from the relationship breakup, you found yourself on the phone to Open Sky House, and now, I don't know, for 6 weeks you've been coming and going here, and you know, you've discovered there's a bit more going on here than just having an art gallery. And you know, you're even, you know, we had to kind of twist your arm a bit, you know, but now you're here for the weekend, and now you're even sharing a lot. You know, you've suddenly become open and you started to share, and probably out of the sharing there'll be some moments where you'll see things a bit differently.
Yeah, that's true.
And one of the things that I would say to you is that you may have been doing a lot of Vipassana meditation and, you know, cold showers and meditating in the morning, but somehow this has not really melted, dissolved, whatever word you want to use, your mind. Your mind's still very, very strong, actually. So this is maybe something that you have to bring some awareness to, that in order for the suffering to stop, you're really going to have to give up a bit, you know, give up.
Right. I think this is the point what I have to learn in this lesson. You know, there's still a very strong mind and a very just a lot of stuff of my childhood is overwhelming, and I'm not free of it.
Right.
That's true.
And at the same time, you know that however terrible it was, it all happened 30, 40 years ago, and it's nothing to do with now. So when you're present now, then you can't suffer from that, actually.
Yeah.
You know, and as far as I can understand, you know, we can go on hoping that, you know, this retreat or that therapy or whatever can somehow take away what happened in the past, because, you know, living in a community of people for the last many years, you know, I've heard many terrible stories. You know, it's like most people have terrible things happen when they're small.
Yeah.
And how to come out of all that, you know, as far as I can see, and okay, it's maybe easy to say it, and it's of course not so easy to allow that to happen. The only way out, the only door out, is to be present. No other door that I've ever discovered.
It's the most difficult door.
Yeah.
Because you have to stay in this doorway and be in the present, and it's the mind.
It's not really
thoughts
it's not
itself.
really difficult. The thing that's really difficult is you have to give up the attachment to the drama that you've established in your life. That's really difficult. But if you can give up the attachment to the drama, to the ego that you're familiar with in your life, then the other part actually happens by itself. You don't have to do anything, actually. So then it's not difficult.
Letting go. I mean, letting go is, yes, it's.
But why would you want to hold on to something that brings a lot of suffering, actually? Why would you want to hold on to that?
I don't have any logical reason, but it's the problem. The point is, I'm not there yet to let go so easily.
Why you can't let go right now? You know, you're sitting in the garden, the trees are in the wind is blowing in the trees, the bird is singing, and
yes, I mean, of course, there are moments when it's there, and then I mean, this moment's getting more and more, and I'm proceeding, but also I think I have to be patient and to accept it. Sometimes I'm fine, and sometimes I'm
Do you think
yeah,
do
I'm
you
caught
think you
up
do
again.
you think you deserve to suffer? Actually,
No,
okay.
I don't do it. But
This is a kind of
yeah,
punishment, that God has decided. Okay, Bruno, you need a few weeks or months of suffering. You've got to, what's the word? I don't know. You've got to do your time. You've got to do your time. And of course, this is also not true.
well,
You've done enough Vipassana meditation to know that as soon as you sit on the cushion, and maybe for some hours you kind of struggle with the old patterns in your mind, and then suddenly, for no reason at all, everything is just peaceful. Is that right?
yes, it happens. It did happen once in a while to me. That's true. And
Right.
yeah, but as you said, it is my strong patterns of mind, in my thoughts and stuff. So mine, yes. So that my ego is there.
Yeah.
I notice.
But my point is that you see that,
Yeah.
you know an alternative,
Mm.
and holding on to your mind structures and so on is bringing you a lot of pain and suffering. So you have a lot of reason to come open to what's new, what's new, which is the bird is singing in the garden, the wind is blowing, and your art is changing.
Yes. Yeah. That's true.
And actually, everybody in the community loves doing your art workshops. Since you came here, you've been kind enough to offer several workshops. Everybody enjoys it, and maybe everybody quite likes you, and everybody sees you're very talented, and people are actually ready to accept your kind of strong-minded stuff. Because they've also been in the strong-minded stuff. Everybody living in this house has also had times when it seemed like they'll never get out of this strong-minded stuff.
Right. Yes, the moment you are in this stuff, sometimes it's just so overwhelming, and but slowly I'm getting better. The way to deal with it is proceeding, and
Is there a better? Is there really a better? Maybe
no, it's not.
It's only different, not
It's
better.
different. Yeah, it's different.
Be careful when you say like better, because that suggests you have some idea about how it should be. My whole point is you can't know how it should be. I mean,
that's true.
Nobody knows how it's going to be.
Just to stay in, to be the observer and not to be the one who is suffering.
Yeah, of course. Stay as the observer. Stay as the observer. And if you stay as the observer, there's a good chance there'll be a moment when the suffering simply stops, and you will have a kind of glimpse of something deeper.
Right.
Maybe somebody else would like to say something to Bruno out of your infinite wisdom, as many of you have been through a similar adventure that he's going through now. Would somebody like to share with him?
Gloria waved her hand.
Okay.
Hi, Bruno.
Hi.
I do want to say something too. I've just gone through basically the same sort of thing. I have had a relationship, and after almost a year, I was rejected. I was told that he didn't want a relationship. And this really shattered me because I was truly in love. I was floating on sky 9 and sky 10 and all the skies I could imagine. And now after sort of a couple of months, I really got to the realization that it wasn't my issue, it was his problem. And that I am absolutely worth loving, and that love does not come from outside, but true love only comes from inside. And this has been such a valuable lesson to me that I'm really thankful to this person now for throwing me aside, so to speak, because he's given me a chance to really see what I am and to appreciate myself and to question myself and all of my issues, but to really know that I am whole. I'm as godly as they come, and to be able to love myself. And as I said, in every bad thing, there's eventually got to be something good as well. And I found that a really good thing to find in this issue. Love doesn't come from the outside. It's only about your own love. The other can be the little dot on the I, if somebody does love you as well, but it's not the love that you really need, the love inside that you really need. Bruno, that's for you. I'm sure you love yourself.
I know exactly this is my theme, because to be honest, I noticed that quite a lot of parts of myself I don't really accept, and I wasn't aware about. And this crisis gave me the chance to see this, and I just realized that the issues which came up in this relation was a lot connected to my point that the inner love isn't so great as as it would be a good idea to be in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that the love is really coming from yourself. It's this is the aim. I know this by now, and I knew it before, but I didn't see the obstacles of all the issues I had in myself, and I got a very strong mirror in this relation, and if somebody is a little bit more in her own love, self-love situation, the mirror is there, and I could see it, and then my reaction was to blame the other person, to do all the issues towards the partner instead of looking to myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of these things has to do with my childhood and stuff, and so for some reason I had to face this now. I know that I somehow I at the end I have to thank the situation that it came up like this. But the time when you are in such a big pain, you almost are in the suffering, not the pain. I mean, the suffering. It's just so overwhelming that you are losing the clear view towards it. And yeah, it's painful to see it, you know, to see that you are in this suffering situation, and you this door of being in the present, you quite often miss it. I missed it for many hours, days, and yeah.
Okay, is somebody else would like to address Bruno? I think it's probably good for him to hear different variations. Somebody else like to share something to Bruno?
Maybe I can share something.
Oh, you could. Even you.
Even me. I don't know if I can. What's life me? Yeah, I mean, I also, from my experience, can say that if you're starting the inner journey, that you often have moments and phases where it's very painful, very difficult. But it's like
just stop a minute, because I'm still looking at myself. I'm getting really
I don't
bored.
know how I can. Yeah, I can't.
Can you click your camera? No.
I'm on the camera, but
Owen, can you come and rescue me? I can't stand to look at John David anymore. I'd much rather look at Radha.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I was able to look at Gloria. That was already a relief. It's okay. I think you can carry on while he's coming. It's no, you have to wait.
Yeah, what did I say? When you start the inner journey, it's like cleaning up the basement, yeah, and there will be often situations or moments or longer periods even that you feel a lot of pain, but to go through, to persevering, I think this is the most important thing to because there comes other times again, yeah, and this is like clearing or cleaning up the water. It's like, yeah, you have all the mud is stirred up, yeah, and the water is very dirty, and it's like slowly it's flowing into the clean water again, like this. And maybe sometimes, I mean, John David also in the beginning talked about it's so easy to fall back into old patterns, into old stories or suffering. And I think this is also, for me, it feels like a natural process also, because it's such a habit, and we were living such a long time in this old structure. It can't disappear in one moment. Maybe it's possible, yeah. Everybody says like this. You just need to be present. Yeah, it's so simple, yeah. But I think it's a process, and you easily come into a bit in the water again when it's getting more muddy again, yeah. But after you went through, it's like a fish, yeah, and then the clear water is coming again, yeah. And just go on.
Yes, I think this example of the water is quite exactly what it is, and the water also doesn't get pure in one moment. and it takes time. And I think this process is somehow for myself. I realized I need to be patient to myself in this process also. Not sometimes there are moments when you feel like, oh, everything's gone, you are fine again, and things are okay, and you are full of energy again, and suddenly you fall back in another moment, and maybe this is also a point to accept the flow of life, that it is always up and downs, in even in moments. 1 second can be completely different from the next second, and actually, this is what I noticed when I went for these long courses, when I got quite very calm and quiet in my mind, and then suddenly you realize in every second there are thousands of moments where the mind and the energy and the emotions are changing so fast, and so this mind is so fast and tricky, and just to accept it and to stay as an observer and not identify with it. I think this is what I have to train. What helps me to work on, and yeah, but I just have a feeling it doesn't change from one day to the other. That's it takes time, all the processes.
I think it depends on the power of your awareness. The stronger your awareness is, the faster it can change, actually. And if you don't have much awareness, then of course you are in the mud. But if you have a stronger awareness, then you don't want to stay in the mud. So then, quite quick, actually. So to develop self-awareness, which you were doing when you went to those meditation courses, that's a valuable tool, a valuable tool that comes out of Vipassana, actually, because the whole thing about Vipassana is that you're constantly developing awareness, actually. And so that the value is to have a strong awareness. And then I think actually it can go quite quickly.
Yeah. My issue was to bring this kind of exercise in the day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And for some reason, as this drama came up very heavily, I lost it somehow in a traumatic way, And I was just so overwhelmed by my emotions and stuff that I
I think, in a way you could say that you forgot something very important, which is that you're not all of that.
Excuse me? You are not?
You forgot that you're not all this drama, You're not all that. You're not all this theater of life that has been created inside you over many years, your conditioning. You're not this one, And for example, when we talk about the love inside, our nature, actually, our true nature is love. It's always there waiting. Always there waiting inside us. Enormous amounts of love. I mean, so much love that if you would fall into it, you would be probably unable to function, actually. You couldn't actually walk or move your arms anymore because the love would be so intense that actually I've seen many people not be able to function. So there's a tremendously powerful energy that's inside everyone, and this is even the same energy in everyone. The love is not your love, my love, and her love. It's just something intrinsic in every human being.
Yes. I know
And,
this.
You know this because when you paint, you come in this, because your paintings display a lot of love, actually. So you definitely know this, and you need to grab it. This, what you know, to be really grabbing this knowing. You do know.
Right. I do know it for moments.
Yeah.
And
I think there's a teeny weeny bit of kind of liking to suffer, actually. Did you have a bit of Christian conditioning in your life? Did you go to church at some point, or I don't know?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up as a Catholic, This,
well, there you are. So that Catholic conditioning, a bit of suffering. I have to suffer because I'm a terrible boy. I have to suffer. I deserve to suffer.
I mean, this scheme of thoughts and conditioning is quite deep in my bringing up.
Yeah.
Life is suffering. This is somehow. And if you are not working properly and things, then you have to suffer. This direct connection is a kind of belief on a very, very deep level. Yeah,
Right.
And to take it out, or to get it, to melt this one, it takes it. It's so deep.
Careful, because it may be very deep and all that, but it only takes a moment, actually. It only takes a moment. Don't keep on saying that's going to take you, a long time, because it will take you a long time.
Okay.
It's only a moment of seeing, I mean, the other thing you could try, of course, would be to get one of these hairy T-shirts, or put some of these metal things on your legs, that when you move, you get pain in your legs, Some of the Catholics use that kind of stuff, yeah?
To torture.
I don't think you torture yourself because you're somebody who should suffer. So this is all nonsense. This is all, unfortunately, something that, it's just not true. It's just not true. Anybody else like to come into this conversation?
Thank you.
Had quite a juicy conversation. Either you could say something to Bruno, or you could expose your own bullshit.
Vimal?
Vimal. Nice to see you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Were you able to leave all those corona patients and come and join us?
Yeah, right now we have 0 corona patients. So.
0? Wow. Okay.
I hope it's similar in other hospitals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to say to Bruno, because I think I had the opportunity to get to know him for some days in the Open Sky House. And I think we have some similar structures. And I think the thing that I wanted to say the most is, I think you need to intentionally do something bad and just fuck up, just do something wrong, or do something in bad quality, because it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Can you explain it a little bit more? What do you mean by that?
Well, you just get the black paint out, and when you just think the painting is finished, by accident you pick up the black paint, you know, and you make a big swipe right across the canvas. That might be your
I did
masterpiece.
I had a time when I did paintings, and at the end I covered it all with tar, with black tar, and it happened to be one of my first success. It was at the time when I came out of the academy, and I found this place in an old factory hall, you know, which was abandoned, and I started my work there in October, and there was no heating, nothing, and then November, December came, and there was frozen, you know, the colors get frozen, you know, the water, nothing was there, and I had to do my academic last procedure, and so I started to paint with fire and tar, and all this colorful paintings. I put the tar over it and made something completely different. And then all the pieces were black. But there was a lot of structure and different surfaces and stuff. And people just liked them. And this was my first sales then afterwards. Well, anyway, so to do something very different and something very unusual, I think this is the message what Vimal gave me.
Right. Okay. Is anybody inspired to share something kind of similar to Bruno? And also, I see it's almost dinner time now, so we probably have to stop actually, because at 8 o'clock, it's now nearly getting on for 7, 7:15. At 8 o'clock, I think it is. Is that right? The concert, or 8:30?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is the concert. So I think we don't want to miss the concert. The guys have been practicing very hard, and I think it will be pretty lovely. So I suggest we stop now, have dinner, and then we meet. Well, we'll be meeting up at 8 just before 8 o'clock. How is it going to work, Radha? Do you need to tell people something?
Well, we already sent the mantras by WhatsApp, so
okay.
And would need to send 1 or 2 people who are not in the WhatsApp group the mantras, and so that they know what they can chant in the evening.
Okay.
And just come online and enjoy, sing with us,
right,
chant with us.
And I think as this concert goes on for some longer time, you can get really a benefit by strongly breathing in and then chanting out the different mantras. There's probably a few, 3 or 4 mantras maybe, and each mantra affects your energy system in a slightly different way. This is, in a way, the magic of mantras, that they actually touch, they kind of almost design, they're almost scientific, that they touch different parts of your energy. So if you go for it for the whole concert, I think by the end of the concert, you will be surprised at the effect. Okay, good. Thank you.